Welcome, folks, to the 50th State Rep District debate here tonight at the library. We're doing live streaming without an audience, and appreciate everybody checking in with us or checking it on later. We have Mr. Stone and Ms. Massaroni here to debate with us. Mr. Brooks, who will be asking the questions. All the questions have been developed by Mr. Brooks. We've tried to make this thing as nonpartisan as we can, and without further ado, we'll let Mr. Brooks begin and get our opening statements going. Thank you.
Welcome to the candidates. Did you all do a coin toss on who goes first?
We did. I go first.
All right.
All right, we're ready?
Thank you, Candy.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Candy Massaroni. I'm your current state representative. I'm a Christian, a mom, a Air Force veteran, and a wife. I've been deeply honored to serve as your representative. Interesting that I never really aspired to be a politician, but instead politics found me. In 2020, the world got kind of crazy, and gave an option to take a vaccine that I didn't think I needed or to be fired from my job. So I stood on principles and I left my job. While recognizing the seriousness of COVID-19, I was skeptical of some of the mandates and the forced mask over children and even the adults. So I decided it was important to do something about it, so I ran for office. Upon election and even before taking office, I started receiving a lot of PAC checks. Money from special interest groups. I sent all those checks back. I don't take money from special interest. I represent the constituents of Nelson County. Some say I don't play well with others. To that, I'm okay with that. Asking tough questions and challenging the status quo is okay, and I think if we don't do that, that's how we end up hurting people in Kentucky. We still have issues in education. We still have issues with some of the policies in Kentucky. Despite opposition, I supported legislation to benefit our state, such as phonics in the classrooms, reducing individual income taxes, and passing measures that maintain a classroom order and protect teachers and students. We introduced the EN Alert, which is an Amber Alert for children with autism. Again, I'm grateful for your trust over the past 2 years, and I look forward to serving 2 more years.
All right, thank you, Candy. Andy Stone, go ahead.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks to the Nelson County Republican Party for the debate. I'm going to skip the pleasantries tonight and get straight to the heart of the matter. Candy Massaroni is a complete failure as a legislator in Frankfort. Candy Massaroni has railed on my campaign for accepting money from a liberal group. Please feel free to look at our campaign finance official documents on the official KREF page. No money was sent to us from the Jefferson County Teachers Group, period. It's come to my attention today that a dark interest libertarian group funded by a billionaire based in Virginia has filed their intent to spend almost $36,000 on an attempt to malign my good name and mislead the voters of Nelson County to get her elected as a political puppet. They hide behind a veil of uber conservative Christianity, but yet lead a campaign that fails to act like a proper Christian. It's shameful, and Nelson County deserves better. And don't be fooled by her claims of credit for getting Nelson County's $85 million for the roads. This is purely the work of our district senator, Jimmy Higdon, the chairman of the Transportation Committee. And I say again, the chairman of the Transportation Committee. My bio and resume are solid: farmer, Air Force pilot, master's in business administration, entrepreneur, school board member. A lifetime of hard work, service, discipline, and determination. Ms. Massaroni will not publish a bio or a resume. Let's face it, folks, we know nothing about this woman other than what she campaigns on. I got into this race for all the right reasons. To better the community that raised me, I am determined more than ever to earn your vote and return Nelson County's good name and reputation back to Frankfort and fight for what is truly impacting Nelson Countyans. A cost of living that has gotten out of control and tax codes that need to be overhauled. We need strong election turnout to send to Frankfort a message that I am your choice as Nelson County's next state representative. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Andy. I'll start off with some soft pitches here. You all are pretty hard hitting tonight. So first, you know, at the earlier debate, there was a lot of agreement between the two of you in the beginning. And I want to know, this goes to both of you, what are the philosophical differences you think make you the best candidate in this race? I know you agree on a lot, but I know there's very big differences between you two. And what's your strongest point Go ahead,
Who's
Andy.
first?
Or who's,
I think it's me.
Go ahead, Andy.
Yeah. Well, we're both Christians, we agree on that. We're both Republicans, we agree on that. But other than that, her definitions of success and mine are completely the opposite. I believe I have a very strong background in business. I'm a team member and a team leader. And I think that's a very important thing when you go to Frankfurt, to be able to utilize both of those abilities to get things done in Frankfurt.
All right, Candy, same question.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm gonna do some comparison. During the 117th Congress, Senator Rand Paul introduced 60 bills, with only one successfully passing. But a Democrat from Michigan proposed 29 bills, and 19 of his passed. So by Andy's standards, he's saying our very own Senator Rand Paul is a failure. So I just think a lot of times it's about stopping bad legislation and protecting their constituents.
All right.
Could we get rebuttals on those?
Oh, and do I have more seconds? And I want to go back. I'm sorry that you're calling our Senator Jimmy Higdon a liar, because we absolutely worked together. He even published an article. So, I mean, I'm disappointed that you would go that route, but God bless you.
Oh, I'm not talking about Senator Jimmy Higdon. The Republican Party puts out that article, and it's a courtesy for the representative and the district and the senator for that district, and they always mention their names, whether they did anything or not. But as I said, he's the chairman of the Transportation Committee, and he's the gentleman that got all that money.
The gas tax was mentioned in the last debate. Let's touch on that, because would you support raising the gas tax, lowering it, eliminating it? And there's some thought that we need to revamp how we fund road improvements and updates, because the gas tax was created in an era when all vehicles ran on gas, and that's not the way it is now. So what are your thoughts on, should we look at ways to reevaluate how we fund road improvements and do away or change, modify the gas tax?
Absolutely. The gas code is a little bit outdated, and it hasn't been updated, I think, since maybe 2012 was the last time it was updated. But I am never for increasing taxes on our citizens, so I will always vote against tax increases, and I am pretty consistent on where I stand on that. So.
Okay.
I'm against raising the tax, but then again, we need to provide some clarity. Nobody has a crystal ball on what's coming in the future. I think it is antiquated. We've got to bring it up to speed in terms of hybrids and electric and all those type of things to make it fair. I'm not sure how they're going to do that as time goes forward. Of course, the electric process has slowed down a good bit. As we know here, there's a lot of electric vehicles that aren't selling right now, so there's going to have to be some incentives for that as well.
Okay. All right, Andy, you have been critical of your opponent's record of legislative achievements in Frankfurt, referring to her as being ineffective. What do you think that you can do differently as a freshman legislator, if elected to office, to be effective in Frankfurt?
Well, Ms. Massaroni has said many times that, and this is kind of goes to her, the group that she deals with up there the most, their legislation has to have 100% of everything they want in it, or they're going to vote against it. And that's just not the way politics work. And she's not collaborative. She doesn't want to talk with industry. That's why, we need more industry to come in and offset the repeal of the bourbon barrel tax. Mm-hmm. And she needs to be able to be more collaborative and do some compromising. You don't compromise on your principles. I get that. Nobody does. That's smart. But you have to be able to get along and talk to folks up there and get your party leadership behind you. I think that's where I would try to excel.
Okay.
Absolutely. Okay, absolutely. Well, I do have a record of voting for the constituents, and with this constituents, I haven't voted like Mr. Stone here to increase the property taxes from the school board at least, 6, 7 times. So I have a consistent record, and I work really well with people. And Andy hasn't ever been up to Frankfurt that I saw, so I don't know where he's getting his information. I think it's from a bureaucrat that works up there. And it's really unfortunate, because I work really well with a lot of legislators and a lot of senators, and that's proven in legislation that I did get through that didn't have my name on it. I don't have to have my name on stuff. If it's good policy, it's good policy. So I'm not about taking credit for legislation as long as it's good policy.
Okay, well, Andy, I'm sorry, I meant Candy. I can't read my own writing. Candy, this is kind of a follow-up question. Do you have examples, specific examples of how you have been an effective legislator during the last two sessions of the General Assembly?
Absolutely. We worked with 3 different counties and all of their elected officials to stop some of the burden of the barrel tax that ultimately passed. So, I mean, we definitely put less burdens on the county. And we also made it, a little bit longer. They wanted to do it more immediate, so we got a longer time frame to work on legislation. I've also worked with senators on both sides of the aisle to put my amendments on their bills, such as the EN alert. I passed a bill for animal, it's an animal bill I passed. So there's a lot of things that I've worked with Senator Higgins, Senator Tishner, and unfortunately we do have a few hostile leaderships in there, and they're only hostile because I fought against the bourbon tax, and a lot of it's from the bureaucrat that works up there, unfortunately, that's been completely against me since the beginning. But that's okay. I've learned to work with people, and I've got a lot done, so.
Okay. Well, go ahead.
Do I get the same question? Or I'd just like a follow-up if I could.
Well,
A couple things on-
I've kind of got a follow-up question for you that's similar but different.
Well, I'm going to say this before I get your question.
Are we not on our rolls?
A couple thing is the school tax. I'm the only person in the last 30 years that I'm aware of that got the school tax reduced, okay, twice, both times when I was chairman, just so that you're clear on that. The second thing is on the bourbon barrel tax, as I mentioned last night at the forum, probably the highlight of any Nelson County State Representative's time of speaking at the legislature in the last 100 years, and she spent less than a minute arguing her case in both houses with no time limit. So I don't call that an effective legislator.
Unfortunately, Mr. Stone don't really know how it works. They don't bring a bill to the floor unless they have the votes for it.
Mm-hmm.
And the governor did call the Democrats, the people that we had on our side, to ensure that the bill passed. And even though he says he decreased the tax, I'm sure the public was still paying more because of the property values that went up, so.
Not a true statement. You don't understand how the tax works, Ms. Mazzaroni.
All right, Andy, if elected, how do you think you'll handle pressure of being in the Republican caucus and pressure from Republican leadership, especially if they want you to do something that might be against your principles? For example, late in the session, time is short, being asked to vote on legislation that's changed, say overnight or in a very short period of time. Vote on that without actually being able to read all the changes that have been made.
Well,
And how will you walk the line between being a team player, as you mentioned,
Right.
and an independent voice for Nelson County?
Right. I understand. Ms. Mazzaroni, I think the very first week she was up there, she voted against her own party's the rules that they go over. Every session, as I understand it, they have to go over the rules and whatnot. And she voted against her party's rules, which I'm certainly not going to do that. It's not a good way to make a first impression. As far as I will not, I do stand on the fact that if I cannot read the bill, I just won't vote. Period. I'm going to be adamant about that. And I understand there's issues that go on with that, and I'm not going to be in agreement with everything that goes on up there, especially as a freshman representative. You've got to learn the ropes, just like she had to learn the ropes her first session. So I'm going to try to be quiet and listen and learn.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and say something on that. So it's actually my second year, and we figured out after the first year that there were multiple bills coming through that we just couldn't read, and we were expected to vote on them. So that was part of the rule changes that I advocated for, to give every representative up there a chance to read the legislation that they were requested to vote on. So if speaking out, and those are the things that I speak out about, because it's fair. It's not fair to every citizen in Kentucky not to be able to read a bill and you're voting on it, or the citizens to be able to read the bills and give us their opinions.
All right. Next question, I'm going to go back to Candy. You've described yourself as a legislator who won't go along with the good old boy system. What are some examples of when you wouldn't go along with and with pressure from maybe House leadership, or maybe even describe the rules you wanted to change? You stand on your own beliefs.
Absolutely. Well, the rules we wanted to change were simple rules. The rules hadn't been changed in forever. They were still using some of the rules I think the Democrats used when they had the majority. So it was simply being allowed to read, allow us 24 hours to read a piece of legislation and to let our constituents read the legislation. So that was one of the things I didn't get along with. Another thing was, you know, a lot of people say they fought for the bourbon barrel tax. I actually fought for that. I was around meeting legislators every day, 12, 13 hours a day, with people in their local fiscal court with Judge Hutchins. So that's another thing. Anything that's not constitutional. I don't think we should vote on stuff that puts more regs or it's just not constitutional to the people of Kentucky. One of those examples is the House Bill 11. That bill was a vape bill, and it was aimed at, they said it was aimed at keeping vapes from children, but it was already illegal in Kentucky for children to have vapes. So what happened is, I think it's 370 different vape products is going off the shelves. It's going to close hundreds of small businesses, and the only ones that are allowed in now is from the big tobacco lobbyists. There's going to be 11 products allowed, and all of those are backed by the tobacco lobbyists. So things like that takes the rights from adult to free market is just not something I want to support.
And do you want to?
No, I have no comment on that.
Okay. Well, let's shift gears a little bit to school choice, because that's a big issue that's been discussed. There'll be a constitutional amendment on the ballot in November regarding public funding of non-public schools. And Andy, as I think you mentioned in the last debate, the 2025 General Assembly will be responsible for creating the enabling legislation to really define what school choice will look like in Kentucky. All right, so whoever wins this primary this month will be our representative working to draft that or approve that legislation. All right, I want each of you to tell me how you believe school choice should look after the 2025 General Assembly. How should it look in Kentucky? Because I know school choice, it's all over, a number of states have what they call school choice. What are your thoughts on how that should look for Kentuckians? Andy, I'll go with you first.
I go first? Okay. As we've already covered a lot of this ground before, but the thing that I'm very particular about the enabling legislation is that it has to be good for all children, okay, and not select few. One of the pitches for the private and the charter schools is, or the cons against, I should say, is they generally like to cherry pick. They don't like to pick children that are going to cost them more money. It cuts into their bottom line. And the other thing is you have to be very careful. I know they've had a lot of success with charter and choice or private schools in Florida, but they've had some bad actors down there also. Because you got to think about this, folks. These are folks coming in trying to make a buck. Okay. Now they probably have good intention, 99% of them, but every once in a while you got to have some rules in place so you can keep the bad actors out. Some other things that aren't being talked about are, there are already folks kids in the state of Kentucky that go to private schools, okay, parochial schools, for example. They're going to get these vouchers. Well, that money, as I understand it, is not built into this budget. That's another $200 to $300 million that's got to come out of your pocket and your pocket and your pocket. So that's something we got to be very careful about. And I guess that's it.
Candy, what should school choice look like after the next General Assembly?
It's no secret I'm a huge advocate for school choice. I think the Florida model is an excellent model. A lot of people saying it's cherry picking, but Florida actually offers vouchers, and there's been a lot of schools for children with special needs, and those schools they specialize in special needs and things for the children, and it's been hugely successful. And it does give the parents an option if they want to send their children to the public school or a different school that they think will be better for them. We already have a problem in education, public education. We've lost 25,000 students over the last 2 years out of public education because parents, they just don't feel it's the right choice for them. And those parents are still paying tax dollars. And we say we don't want to send tax money to private entities, which we do all the time anyway. We have welfare, we have a lot of different things where tax money goes to private industries. So I think it's going to be complicated, but I look forward to it, and I'm hoping we can actually revamp the whole seat formula because it's extremely outdated while we're at it, and it will be best for the public schools and for parents.
Okay.
This isn't a rebuttal against her answer, but the one thing I think that I tried to explain last night is people also need to have clarity on what, if they're going to turn the SEEK money over to voucher money. I just want to make sure that the public understands, if there's a private school over here, XYZ, whatever the name of it is, they're going to take that money. They're not going to just be able to give them that $4,600 and use that for their tuition, because it may be $10,000, $12,000, $14,000. So they're going to have to come up with that money out of their own pockets.
All right. Well, Andy, I'll give you this question. Well, I want you both to answer, but school choice opponents have frequently said that the transfer of money from the public school system to fund non-public schools is a threat to the quality of public education. Do you agree or disagree with that?
Well, maybe some places, but I don't think so here. I think we have a very rich, a great set of schools in our county specifically. Of course, I've been associated with the Bardstown School, and I've said all along, if you want choice, bring it on. We have great, we're all about competition. Competition obviously creates innovation, and that's what we've been about for the last 12 years while I've been there. We just revamped the old Bardstown Elementary School to our new CTE center. We're going to have culinary arts there, robotics, all kinds of really neat stuff. So I don't think there'll be a problem here with that.
Same question, Candy.
Okay, can you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
School choice opponents have said that the transfer of public funds to fund non-public schools is could be detrimental to the quality of public education.
I think it's going to be great because it's going to have competition. I'm just going to use Jefferson County Schools, the teachers union obviously supports Mr. Stone here. They get over $22,000 per student in funds, and some of their schools are at the lowest in the state for reading and writing proficiency. Some of our schools here, we have fabulous teachers, so I think it's going to give our teachers options. If they're not happy with the policies of that school, they're going to be able to go to another school and teach. So I think it's just going to be a good thing for Kentucky, like it has in Florida and many other states.
Okay. Well, Candy, I'll start with you on this question. Public schools currently are required to provide a wide range of services to students of all skill levels and physical abilities, from special education to gifted, talented, and enrichment and all sorts of services. Maybe not required by the state, but certainly there are a number of services required in public education. As a legislator, would you support requiring non-public schools funded by public money to provide the same level of service to their students as well? Because I know that, I know, Andy, we've talked about this before, but the school systems have to provide a wide range of services. Should the non-public schools have to provide those same services?
Absolutely. If they're receiving taxpayer funds, they should absolutely receive that. The problem I get into, if it's homeschools, I don't think the state or the government needs involved with the homeschool groups. I think most of them's homeschooling for a purpose. They don't want the state and the government involved. So as long as it's not affecting the homeschool parents, I think we should have standards if the taxpayer money is going to it. Absolutely.
Okay. Andy?
I agree that they're get tongue-tied here. We've talked about this before. We have a wide range of folks that we have to teach, take care of in our public schools, and I think very much so that if the private schools are going to get these vouchers, they have to step up and be able to provide those very same services. Yes.
Okay. My last public education question, and I'll start with you, Andy. There's claims that in a school choice environment, non-public schools may cherry pick the best and brightest students and avoid accepting more poorly performing students or students with certain special needs. Should that be allowed if it's a school that's publicly funded?
I don't think so, and it's as I said before. You got to realize. Let's just use an easy math here. Let's say it's $4,000 is SEEK or it's voucher. Okay, if you have a very sharp student, okay, all that $4,000 is not needed for that sharp student, okay? They could probably end up using less of that money for that student, and then take some of that money over and carry over into the problem, the areas that do need more, the gap score kids, the problems with the children with issues, special needs, and so on and so forth. So, yeah, I think that is very much a problem that they're going to have to address.
All right, Candy?
I don't think they should be able to cherry pick students, but I do think offering programs for different students, different programs would give more options to the parents. So I don't think that's a good thing, but no, they absolutely should not be able to cherry pick the students.
Another thing that does, if they do the cherry picking, okay, they take the top students, all right, then the grade point averages for the public schools that they took all the top students from, they're all going to drop. So all the test scores are going to drop. All those metrics will start to cause a lot of headaches for the administration as well.
All right, I'm going to shift gears a little bit and talk a little bit about PAC money. And I'm going to pick on you a little bit, Andy. You've received money from 3 PACs that I'm aware of. Your April's financial report, you received $2,100 from the Kentucky Chamber.
Yes,
Is what's on the list, and $500 from Speak Up for Rural Electrification PAC.
Yes, sir.
Which I've never heard of before, but
It's via Salt River.
Salt River, yeah. And according to a document I saw on social media, you've also received a $25,000 donation goes to your campaign from the Commonwealth Conservative Coalition PAC, apparently using funds provided by the Jefferson County Teachers Union. The money documents dated, the copy I saw dated March 15th, before the April 18th forum. And I know you've said that if you receive a donation in that form, it's not that they support you, it's that they oppose your opponent.
Well, I'd like to make the distinction that you said, that you saw that part on social media. You didn't see that part on KRED because we never received any of that money. That money is, it's like any group can support, and it says right down in the block on those specific papers.
Sure.
Ms. Massaroni's new group actually just put one out today. And it says they don't have to ask for your permission on who they support, either candidate, one way or the other. That's just part of the First Amendment. As I've said the story, I'll repeat it very quickly, that, April 1st, I think, was the day someone called me and said, do you know this group? I said, no. Do you know this group? No, I don't know. Well, they gave you $25,000. I said, well, if they did, I didn't get the check. So we kind of made a laugh about it. But no, we've never received any of that money. They can use that money to oppose or support anybody that they choose to. And that's what the group that's coming in, that's now going to support Candy, is doing as well, but in a lot larger way.
Well, supposing you do get money.
And by the way, if I called them and told them not to do it, they don't have to listen to me.
Right.
They don't have to answer.
But
Did you call them?
No. Oh, yeah, I did call them and leave a message, but nobody
tell
called me
them
back.
all right, just a little follow-up. If you received money from them, obviously you say your campaign has not received the check.
That's correct.
Why would you think they would find you more palatable a Republican in this race than your opponent?
Well, as I've said many times before, it's not so much that they're for me, is that they are against Candy Massaroni. And I think it's probably because I am a public school board member. That's my association. That would be my guess.
All right. Candy?
Can I answer that?
Oh, sure.
Right. So they do oppose me because I fought against a bunch of their woke agenda. I don't think we should have the pornographic books in school. I don't think school counselors should be able to take children out and provide transitional hormones to them. So we fought a lot of that, and we actually won a couple of the big battles to stop some of this. So, like I said, if Jefferson County Teacher Union opposes me, every Republican in Nelson County should probably vote for me. So.
Well, as a Republican, I applaud that you did that, but I can assure you that in the Bardstown Independent School District, we don't have wokeism, we don't have all those CRT, we don't have that stuff, so there you go.
You actually do, and I sent you probably 2 years ago the list of books that was in your library, and I shared those with other people, and there's some inappropriate books in those libraries, and it's not as bad as Jefferson County, but since you're on the school board for 12 years, I would hope that you would be aware of that.
I am aware.
Well, I'm sorry that you haven't done something about it then, and I'm sorry to the parents of the Bardstown students.
All right, let's move on. And this again is just a generic question about PACs. want each of you to answer, why do you think PACs give money to legislators for their campaigns?
You want me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead, Candy.
A lot of times, and I'm not saying all PACs is bad. There's been a
Right.
notion that I don't meet with PACs or lobbyists. I meet with lobbyists. The first question I ask when they call, I ask, which constituent in Nelson County do you represent? If they represent one of my constituents, I will absolutely meet with them. If not, they have my phone number, which is public to everybody, and they can call me. But there's a lot of PACs that you can say you will not be influenced by money that you receive from PACs. I just don't feel that way. I think if you're taking money from people, that you're obligated to them. I mean, if you work a job and take their money, you're supposed to do a job. So if you're taking money from whatever PAC, you know, they're going to have your ear, even if you don't agree with it, and they will be able to persuade you, more than likely, with that. So.
All right, Andy?
Well, first of all, Ms. Mascheroni has said many times that she doesn't take money from PACs.
I don't take
But
money from
but you just look at your KREF statement, and you've got 3 PACs on there that you've taken
I have them
money
from Thomas Massey.
Mhm,
which
that's
is
a PAC.
It's from his campaign, and
Okay.
from Rand Paul.
And that's a PAC.
So.
And the optometry PAC as well. There's 3 PACs
And that was
there.
one I didn't send back. I've sent most of them back. It was
Yeah, but
put in.
you
so.
cash the check, and then you write them a check back. That doesn't make much sense to me.
So, well, you can ask. I
But-
go to church with them. So.
But, so, and I'll say this, when I'm represented, if I'm lucky to be represented, I'm gonna take a meeting with everybody. They get 15 minutes of my time, whether they gave me money or not. I wanna hear what they got to say, whether they're a lobbyist or a PAC or a super PAC. That's just how I'm gonna, try to utilize the position.
All right. I'm going to shift gears a little bit here. I think both you candidates have expressed that you're certainly pro-life and have a question related to the current state law regarding abortion. Generally speaking, would you be in favor of adding exceptions to the Kentucky abortion law that would include pregnancies caused by rape or incest?
I would not be in favor of that. I think we should utilize, while we're on the subject, I think we should take money out of Planned Parenthood, and we should try to revitalize our adoption services. I think there's a lot of red tape there. I think there are a lot of low and middle income folks that would like to be adoptive parents, and I think there's a lot of money involved in being, adoption these days. So I think that's a barrier that would help out that as well.
All right. Candy, what are your thoughts?
Absolutely do not agree with any exemptions. And some of the, I'm so ineffective, some of the legislation we got through, me and several of those female legislators worked on this all summer, is to provide more resources to mothers that are in crisis. So.
All right, final question.
I'd also like to say, I don't
go
know if
ahead.
you're part of this, but I applaud the momnibus that they were able to get through legislation this time. I think it was a Miss Moser from Northern Kentucky that it was a last minute thing. They attached it to a Senate bill, but I think it's very important because it gives help to ladies who don't have any. They're basically isolated. A lot of times they are depressed, and I think 53% of them are drug dependent as well. So I was very appreciative of that bill getting passed.
All right, final question regarding the state sales tax. Many of my more liberal friends tell me that the state sales tax is a regressive tax, and expanding it or increasing it has a very negative impact on the poor and the working poor. As the state moves to reduce its income tax and to expand the sales tax, how should the state proceed with how we balance that? Because some states have higher sales taxes, or it covers more items than Kentucky still exempts certain things from sales tax. What's the path forward for trying to match like Tennessee and other states that have very low or no income tax?
Well, I think the path forward is we need to bring in, Tennessee has a lot of tourism. Mm-hmm. And we have tourism, but nothing like Tennessee. So they have a lot of revenue dollars coming from tourists. So I think we need to look at, building our economy, bringing more tourism aspects in and more industry in. And there's some things I agree that we should never tax. But I think that we are on the right path in Kentucky on the way we're doing it. We're doing it slowly. We're doing it smartly. So I think we're on the right path. And as our economy grows, we can keep reducing it. So.
All right, Andy?
Well, House Bill 8 was put in 2022, and I actually did a lot more homework on that this week. And as it turns out, there is a way to get the path all the way down to zero for income tax. And what that really means is everything is going to be based on consumption tax. I don't see the sales tax going down, but I don't see it going up radically either, because the plan is it might take 10 to 15 years to get that tax down, because they take it down in small increments once they meet certain metrics, and that way the economy can adjust and not be go imploded on it. I think Kansas did it a different way, and they tried to bring it all the way down to zero, and it was a disaster out there. So I think we're on the right path with that.
All right, okay, it's time for closing statements, and I think you went first, Andy. Andy.
I go first on closing. Yeah. In closing, ladies and gentlemen, there's a stark difference between Candy Massaroni and myself. First of all, I'm born and raised in this county, and I understand its communities and its values, and I want to protect them from special interest groups like Candy's. This dark interest-packed libertarian group from Virginia has pumped nearly $36,000 into literature and videos that will attempt to tarnish my good name and to bycast Candy Massaroni as a political puppet. In my opinion, she is disrespecting the intelligence of every voter in Nelson County. Our country certainly has issues. It always has. Every generation loudly proclaims that the next generation just doesn't have what it takes. And yet here we are, survivors, Americans, Nelson Countyans, we overcome and we persevere. The Candy Massaronis of the world have one solution to any problem: gut it. I say no. Send me to Frankfurt and help me fix it, and let me help fix it. Her paranoia and conspiratorial mindset is yet another reason she is ineffective as a state representative. We have talked repeatedly about her abysmal voting record, less than 2% success. She voted 6 times this past session with the Liberals and has the nerve to call herself a true conservative. She has no interest in taking meetings or collaborating with groups to bring new jobs and industry into our community. She can't communicate effectively or propose viable legislation. Her peers and party leadership are not behind her. They do not trust her to carry important legislation, so why should we? I am goal-oriented, fiscally conservative, and have decades of experience. That's what we need in our effort to get this economy back on track, money in your pocket and money back to Nelson County. I love this county, this country, I believe in our democracy, and I'm a true patriot. Early voting begins May 16th, the primary is 20 days away. Please send me to Frankfurt to restore our county's relevance and fight for a higher quality of life for all of us. I humbly ask for your vote. God bless America, and thank you. Good evening.
All right, thank you, Andy. Candy?
Thank you, and I've never heard of this PAC that Mr. Stone is talking about, but there is 2 PACs out there for him that has over $1 million, and one of them is from one of his buddies here. It's from a lawyer's firm from the House, so it's really interesting. And all these PACs, they're not against me. They're against what I stand for. They're against my values. They're against my conservative points. So I have been up there, I've been fighting for conservative values, and I'm not going to talk nasty like Mr. Stone does about him. I have a record, and my record speaks clearly for itself. I have many endorsements. Over half the legislators endorse me. Senator Higdon supports me 100%. Multiple senators has came out and endorsed me. I have state officials coming to my fundraiser and hosting it next week. To just say I'm ineffective and I don't get along with people, those are some tired talking points, and I'm sorry he feels that way. And when he's calling me a conspiracy theorist, it's interesting because he's calling half of his base conspiracy theorists, because most of the things that he's talking about came true. It's some of the books in the schools that absolutely exist, and there's some of the curriculum that, there was good at one time, but it's been hijacked by the woke left that represents and wants Andy to end there. So I'm sorry that, politics had to be so nasty, but I'm here for the constituents, and I'm here to do the right thing, and I'm here to represent Christian conservative values. And to say I don't get along with people, I represent everybody. 3 of the bills that I filed was from constituents on the other side of the party. I get along with everybody, but I am not letting people take advantage of our constituents. So.
All right, well, thank you both for participating tonight.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.